Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be diving into one of my budget decks that I kind of built on the channel when Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Oh my god, I already forgot the name of the set. Dropped in Magic the Gathering Arena. This one we're going to be diving into is the Goblin deck. This is kind of a fun deck, as I do think Goblins is kind of interestingly in a decent spot, as they can be quite aggressive pretty quickly against your opponent, as we do have some decent cards that came with the new set that kind of help out Goblins overall as a whole. Like, we did get a Goblin Lord, as well as we did get some Goblins that do have abilities that if we tap certain things, we give our goblins +1/+0 in haste, which is also very good. So overall, goblins, like I said, has some pretty decent tools with the new set. If you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, I want to post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and it puts a +1/+1 counter on the channel. But let's just dive in the deck and let's just talk about it. Just wanted to give a special shout out to the channel members that you see your names here. These are the people who support the channel by either clicking the join button that's down below right next to the subscribe button if you want to get your name here on this list, or you can click the link in the description. I do appreciate it, as it does help support the channel. Now on with your video. So this is my mono red goblin set. As you can kind of see here, if you haven't seen this deck list already, it is on the budget side, as we are only playing a total of 4 rares in the whole deck. 2 being the Hobgoblin Bandit Lord, and 2 being the Den of the Bugbear. Overall, the rest of the goblins are uncommons and commons from, some of the various sets, as well as actually quite a bit of them are from the newest set being uncommons. But overall, the goblins, like I said, have gotten a little bit of a facelift since, the initial starter deck that came out last year, with really not too much help to make it too much better. I do think goblins are in a much better place this year compared to last. Our deck is just doing some stuff pretty simple, not playing super expensive things. You probably could get away with, possibly playing 22 lands if that's something you're into, just maybe play some more copies of certain things if you want to become more aggressive. But overall, the deck is pretty straightforward. We are playing 2 copies of the Barbarian class, as it's a new class ability. I do think we do have some cards with rolls, so getting that additional roll is always very good. As we level it up, we get things like whenever we roll 1 or more dice, target creatures we control get +2/+0 and menace until end of turn. And for the third ability, we just give all our creatures haste from the foreseeable future unless this enchantment is off the battlefield, which is very good, as not all the goblins have haste, so giving them the ability to attack it immediately is very good and overwhelms our opponent that way. Then we have the Fireblade Charger, which is a Goblin Warrior, as you may have seen in mono red. If it's equipped, it has haste. Whenever it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Combine that with something like the Goblin Lord, it actually can just start pinging some damage to wherever we need to, depending on the situation. Then we have some Frostbite as a spot removal, as we are playing some Snowland. We aren't playing any other colors, so I do think Snow is pretty easier to pull off in this style of deck, as we are just playing red lands for the most part. Then we have Goblin Javelin. It's a 1-mana 1/1 with haste, and whenever it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to a target creature blocking it. So if any opponent tries to jump with like a token or something like that, it's like a 1/1, it actually kills the token, and this will actually survive that battle. So overall, pretty cool card with the new set. Then we have the Cry Goblin. It's a 2/2 for 2. Uncommon, with the ability that we can tap 2 goblins we control, get +1/+0 and gain haste on a turn, and has pack tactics. So if we attack creatures with power total 6 or greater this combat, you create a 1/1 goblin creature token that is tapped and also attacking. So just us getting much wider against our opponent, which is also very good. Goblin Morningstar is another card in the deck, as it has goblins in it, can also produce goblins, and it's an equipment that we can put on one of our goblins if need be for 2 mana, and gives it +1/+0 in haste, or +1/+0 in trample. When it comes to the battlefield, if we do roll a 1 through 9, we get a 1 red goblin creature token. If we roll a 10 through 20, we get a 1/1, and we get to actually attach this Morningstar to it, so it makes our initial goblin that comes into the battlefield with this a little bit bigger than it would normally be. Then we got the Hobgoblin Captain. It's a 2-mana 3/1 with pack tactics. If we attack a creature 6 power or greater, it gains first strike on the end turn, which is very good. And as we play other goblins and play things like pump goblins, it can become a first striker that actually first strikes over much larger creatures than itself. So overall, pretty good goblin that kind of synergizes very well with this goblin set. Then we see a pair of goblins for 3 mana. It's an instant speed spell that we can charge them. It gives all our creatures we control +2/+0. So if we already have a pretty wide board and we're attacking our opponent aggressively, we can give all our creatures +2/+0 and instant speed. Or we can befriend them, which we can do at the end of our opponent's turn, and we get to create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, which hopefully get wider on the following attack, maybe on the following turn. Then we got the Hobgoblin Bandit Lord. It's a 3-mana 2/3. Other goblin creatures we control get +1/+1, so it makes all our goblins stronger. For 1 red mana and tapping it, we get to deal damage equal to the number of goblins that enter the battlefield under our control to any target. So in the early game, if we're playing goblins and we want to start spot removal of things, we can ping them for 1 or 2 damage depending on how many goblins we played that turn. And in the late game, we can actually start pinging our opponent's face if the situation calls for it, or maybe we want to possibly even finish off a creature that may have been dealt damage by one of our goblins that may have died from combat. So overall, pretty decent Goblin Lord, and it's pretty decent for its cost and actual size. So it's actually pretty... It's out of the size of any of that burn damage outside of something like Frostbite, but for the most part, it's a pretty decent Goblin Lord. Then we have Hulk and Bugbear. It's just pretty straightforward, 3 mana, 3/3 with haste. Just a very goblin card. You know, it's just a big goblin that's just gonna try to come in and smash face. Yeah, this come out after a Hobgoblin. It comes in as a 4 mana, 4/4 for 3, which is definitely very good with haste and just attacks him very aggressively, which is definitely pretty cool. And just, you know, overall gives us, maybe this is a kind of like our big goblin to hopefully finish off our opponent. Then in the 5-drop slot, we only have 2 copies of it. It's Swarming Goblins. It's a 5 mana 4/3 that when it enters the battlefield, we roll a d20. 1 through 9, we create 1 red goblin. 10 through 19, we create 2. And a 20, we get 3 tokens. So overall, it's a spell that gets a creature and possibly, you know, up to 3 tokens depending on how well we roll. That's kind of why we play the Barbarian class, to get that additional roll, just in case we want to try to get lucky and maybe get close to over 10 or even a possible 20 if we want to try to get as many tokens as possible. And like I said, the mana base is pretty straightforward. We are playing 2 of the Den of the Bugbears as a creature land possibility that has a way of us getting additional tokens from it that are goblins that attack and are attacking. And we are playing 22 Snow Mountains. So overall, pretty fun deck, pretty cheap to build. Nothing too crazy expensive if we really want to tech it out. If you want to add in more copies of Hobgoblin, Bandit Lord, or maybe more copies of Den of the Bugbear, that's really about it, as I don't really think there are many other rare goblin creatures in the deck. You could also think about possibly adding in some white, and you can actually add in that enchantment that kind of gives like the creatures of a particular type, whatever you choose, get +1/+1. I can't remember. It's from Kaldheim. I know I know you can probably type in the comments below as you're reading this, but that's something you can also think about adding if that's something you want to do. Though I would suggest probably adding in the red-white mana that's untapped, like the Pathways, and also add in the Snarls. But then again, you're cutting down on your overall Snow Mountain or Snow mana, so up to you if you want to do something like that. But overall, this is a pretty decent starter deck if this is something you're really trying to jump into and get started in Arena. So I'm actually very curious on where this deck lands, as I kind of played it a lot on Friday and haven't really touched it since. So I'm kind of seeing where the meta has kind of shifted. But overall, pretty decent starter hand, nothing too crazy. We don't have any turn 1 plays that are attacking aggressively, but you know, we're on the play, so that makes us, you know, have the advantage that way. So I do think we're doing okay. So kind of see what our opponent is playing. They're playing something white, okay, possibly a deck that's focusing on exiling things, so it gets their Stonebinders familiar much larger. But it is the Magecraft deck that is my best guess here. So yeah, they're playing Symbology, yada, yada, yada. I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to do there. I'm not going to play my, whatchamacallit here. So let's just see what they do. Because 10-1, yeah, they're going to block. That's fine. We'll say go, because they have a card that's going to exile at a permanent, but it's at sorcery speed, so we may be able to catch them off guard if they don't do anything. And, okay, that's fine. And we're just going to blindside them with 2 goblins, and we're actually just going to kill that creature, so it doesn't do anything, and they can't actually play their card they exiled, so that's fine for us. We'll play Goblin Morningstar. Maybe that's something they want to target. And we get our Goblin equipped to it, so that's awesome. I mean, if we keep our opponent on their toes and they can't really play anything, that's good for us. So I'm curious as if this is like a Foretell deck splashing in Stonebinders, or if this is like a Magecraft deck. I'm not really sure where this deck really lands. That's fine. We'll just ping that before they exile something, so they don't have any board presence. We'll make them want to actually get rid of this creature. I mean, I'm sure they probably play some sort of big creature, so us being slow is not great. They probably are going to take extra turns. And that's fine. It could take the permanent. Okay, exile something else. Pass to attackers. Pass to my turn. We'll get some more goblins. We will play... We'll activate. And we'll swing in a little aggressively. They're at 10. They'll probably target our Battle Cry Goblin with their removal, if that's what they want to do, as they didn't draw untapped mana. So if those are something like... That's fine. I think we're in a good spot here, as these will get bigger. And we'll swing in for almost lethal. I mean, that's a lethal attack there. That may be lethal there. And we'll throw 1 damage at, or 2 damage at their face and say good game. I didn't think 2 goblins came in, but I can't math. Math is hard. But overall, pretty good first game there. All right, we're on the play. Hand's pretty decent. So yeah, we'll keep. And we'll play the Javelineer just because it is something that can attack it immediately. And turn 2, we could set up possibly having an equipment for the Charger. Or we just play 2 Chargers and call it a day. And then attacking aggressively next turn and see what they do. Because we are in a position that we can actually play our Bandit Lord next turn and actually do a pretty decent chunk of damage. That's perfectly fine. I don't think they're... So if they have removal here, it's unfortunate for us, but I do think we're okay still regardless. I could have waited a turn until I had a little bit more. Now, there's no way that they have removal plus something that a second spell, unless they have a --/ spell, which I don't think there is one for 1 mana. But I could be wrong. All right, that's fine. They have a fight spell? Snakeskin Veil. That's fine. Sure. I think you have to block, because you're dead otherwise. I think they're dead on board, actually. Regardless of... if they block the 4/4, they're not dead. That's only 1 damage. So they're not dead. I was off by 1. I will, ping. So they're at 1. So they have to kill me here or slow me down. They can't kill the Fireblade Chargers because those will throw damage right at their face. So I'm not really threatened by anything they have on board unless they play a removal spell or 2. Those are fine. Sure. Okay, so they're at 1, and I guess they just want to die? I don't know what the play is here. They could have held back and at least held up blockers. I don't know why they were so aggressive. Opponent goes first. I do think our hand's still pretty decent because we have 4 mana and we have a curve, so and our opponent's shuffling twice, and they blow up. Opponent's still going first. I think our hand's okay because we have spot removal, so we can disrupt maybe what they're trying to do, so I'll keep. We're on the draw, so I do think 3 mana is more than enough, so... I think they mulliganed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they did. Okay, they're playing something mono white, which is not terrible. We'll swing in for our possible 1 damage, unless they have something instant speed. Oh my goodness, they have instant speed damage. Okay. Maybe they play Artificer and they're like an equipment deck, because maybe they have something with Flash. Maybe they have Blink Dog. There's something holding priority on their end. I'll play Cry Goblin afterwards because it's not going to come into play with haste, so that's not terrible for us. Next turn we get... Maybe they have Revitalize? That's probably what they have. They probably have Life Gain. It's a Life Gain deck. They can't go off next turn, so I'm not sure 100% what they can do. We're just attacking aggressively, and they have to hopefully live before they can get their combo off. And we have spot removal, so the minute they pop up Faceless Haven, I mean, they are in a weird position. Plus, if they don't do anything this turn, we could have lethal next turn. Yeah, because... So, just a real quick, just because we have 5, we have 2, 5, 6, 7... then we have this, which is 8, and then we also can pump this for 2, which gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 13. And if we really wanted to, we could also then on top of it play You See a Pair of Goblins, which gives all our creatures +2/+0, which then increases it by additional 10, which is then, you know, almost, what is that, 23 damage to them next turn. And they may not have anything, and they're at 11, so they can't gain enough life to slow this down. We're on the play. I mean, the hand's a little bit slow, but I mean, we're on the play. We can play our 2-drop and then swing. We can play our, you know, our creature land on turn 2. I'm gonna play my snow land just to kind of make them guess what we're playing, just because this could be Prismari if I play just snow land. Our opponent's analyzing their deck. They mulligan. Guessing they're playing something with some tricky lands. Maybe they just want to draw a perfect hand. So it's a possibility. But this we have to play on next turn, or it comes into play tapped after that. So it is one of those things. Okay, so we're playing something with life gain, which is not the worst, but not the greatest. So we'll play our Goblin. So they're playing green, white, life gain. Okay, yep. I know this deck. Yeah. So the goal here is they want to get their creature on the board that gives them a bunch of life. So we'll swing in first and just see if they want to chump either. I mean, that is a 3/1 that you may want to give up, but I guess they're thinking maybe I'll gain a bunch of life. So as long as they keep their innkeeper around, they can gain a bunch of life in the process. I think I keep my Hobgoblin Captain out just because it's a 3/1. That next turn, if we swing in, it'll be a 3/1 with first strike, because we'll have another one with a 3/1 also first strike. We draw another land, we can play Cry Goblin, plus we can actually do its Battlecry, giving all our goblins additional +2/+0, or +1/+0 and haste, which is a pretty decent attack here. So they do have to gain a bunch of life and actually play something pretty decent, but they are setting it up, so that's not the best for them. But we'll see what they play here. They are getting mana out of this, so they do have additional ways to gain additional mana. That's fine. It's only a 4/4. So it's not that bad. So I may actually still attack and kind of see what they do, because these will become 5/1s with the UC pair of goblins. I mean, their hand's getting a little thin, so I mean, they're not gaining a bunch of life. Yeah, I mean, I will play this. Give all my goblins +2. And they'll both get first strike. And hit you for 8. So I'm not worried if like they start to swing in with their big Moon Dancer. I do think I can get wider than them. That's fine. If I draw a land here, I can probably catch them by surprise. If they swing in, I mean, I'm all for it. Okay. I'll swing in again. The other thing, too, is I think I can activate this multiple times, so I have other ways of escaping a bunch of ways. Sure. Sure. So we just have to be more aggressive and attacking aggressively and just get wider than them, because they can only gain so much life. And once they run out of cards, I mean, their life gain's going to slow down. And if they attack in aggressively, like thinking that they're going to get in for some damage, like if they attack in for 8, thinking that, oh, I'll get in, I can chump with a goblin I can create. I can just make more goblins. All right, if they want to do that, that's perfectly fine with me. I'll show you that I'm going to have more goblins and get wider. One, two. Interesting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's an additional 5. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. I'll pump. So that's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, that's game. I was thinking gain life. That's an additional... That's 22, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. And we are back. So, I mean, overall, this deck performed fairly well. I know this deck video is a little bit shorter, but I feel like once you kind of get a gist of kind of how the deck works and how it matches up against various things, you kind of get an understanding of really, you know, what the deck is all about. And I do think, even in its budget form, I do think Goblins is a pretty decent competitive deck. Like I said, if you want to upgrade it, you can add in just a couple more rares, but you really don't need too much, really, to make it that much more explosive. Overall, like I said, if you like the video, hit that like button. If you let me know what you guys think of Goblins down in the comments below, if that's something you're interested in, or maybe something you are playing. I'll have a link for the video, the deck down in the description below the video if you want to check it out and import it and kind of see what you have and what you're missing if you want to go ahead and build it yourself. But until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.